Asher b'Yisrael. Eitzel Heichel Achav Melech Shomron. And it was after these things, there was a vineyard to Navot HaYisraeli, who was in Israel, near the Heichel, near the residence of Achav, the king of Shomron. Now, Achav, his royal palace was in Shomron, and it wasn't in Israel. But he had another house there. Okay, so and the kerem of Navot was next to his summer home over there in Israel, wherever it was. V'daber Achav el Navot, lemor. So Achav spoke to Navot, saying, "Tanali et karmacha vili legan yarak. Kihu karov etzel beiti, v'etna lecha tachtav kerem tov mimenu. Im tov einecha, etna lecha kesef mechir zeh." So Achav wanted the kerem next to his house. He wanted to plant a vegetable garden over there. And he said, it's next to my house, and instead of your kerem, I'll give you a different kerem, or I'll give you kesef, give you money to buy it. Now, the Malbim points out, if this would have been next to the royal palace, the king would have a right to do that, buy out someone. It's like the government has to build a train or something. They can force the people to sell because it's for the needs of the Melucha. So same thing, if the royal house has to expand and it's part of what's necessary for running the kingdom, so he can force the neighbors to sell their property. But it wasn't that. It was just his like summer home. So he had no right to do it. But he wanted to force Navot to sell. And Navot, and also it seems like he was also over to Avodah Zarah. He wanted to use the place for his Avodah Zarah. They used to put their Avodah Zarah in the vegetable patches. There was something with that. So he was also going to cut down trees, which is also usher. There were a lot of not good things over here. And so Navot gave him rebuke. This is how the Malbim explains it. V'yomer Navot el Achav, Kli li me Hashem, v'titi et nachalat avotai lach. Far be it from me, from Hashem, it's for Hashem, in the name of Hashem, I would go far away from such a thing to give you the inheritance of my fathers. V'yavo Achav el beito sar v'za'ef. He came into his house, sar v'za'ef. That sounds like Haman. Same phrase. Davar asher diber alav Navot HaYisraeli. Because of the way Navot spoke to him. V'yomer lo eten lecha et nachlat avotai. That he said this phrase, I won't give you the inheritance of my parents, of my ancestors. V'yishkav al mitato v'yasev et panav l'achal lechem. He lay down on his bed and he didn't eat. Now, what it sounds like is like a really spoiled person. He doesn't get what he wants, so he throws a tantrum out of sof. Like someone that his parents never raised him up to be a mensch. But the Malbim doesn't learn it like that. It's deeper than that. The Malbim learns that what happened is that Navot was disgusted at him and at all of his hanhagut, all his way of life and his attitudes. And he gave him rebuke. He said, I don't want to give you the inheritance of my fathers, and you have given away the inheritance of everything, both spiritually and physically. You've cut yourself off from what we received from all the generations. And the Malbim assumes there's a whole lecture here behind this one sentence.
He mentions ancestors twice.
So anyways, what you're doing is you're cutting off Am Yisrael from who we are, from all of our Yerusha, physically and spiritually. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go with you. So he gave him a very strong rebuke. And that's what got to Achav. When Achav had a bit of a conscience, and so he was upset. Yeah. Okay, that's the modern words. Taboy lav izevel, ishto, but the bear lav. He covered over his conscience. He was didn't want to hear about it.
I feel like we should be beating the table whenever we say izevel.
Yes, I hear that. You're right about that. Yes. But taboy lav izevel, ishto, the bear lav mazeh ruchacha sara, veincha ochel lechem. how come your spirit is so troubled, in turmoil, and you are not eating bread? His wife said, V'daber leha, v'daber el navot ha'Yisraeli, because I spoke to Navot Israeli, v'omer lo t'nali et karmocha, v'kesef, v'im chafetzata t'nalecha kerem taktav, v'omer lo ten lecha et karmi. He told her, he didn't tell the whole story. He didn't tell her all the deep depth of the rebuke that he got from a Navot. He just told him, like, he wouldn't give me the field, and it was getting me down, and it wasn't nice, this and that. He told her the chitzoni side. Okay. Tomer lav izevel ishto. Ata taseh mulucha. Now you will do, you are the king on Yisrael. Kum echal lechem v'tavli. I'm going to make you stronger, a strong king that doesn't bow before people. You eat bread, v'tav libecha. Your heart you'll feel better. You'll eat something, you'll feel better. Right, Jewish mother type, you know. This wasn't Jewish. Ani eten lecha et kerem navot Israeli. I'll make sure you get the kerem. So she says, I'll take care of this.
But he was like fasting, he was sort of doing teshuvah, and
he couldn't eat. Yeah, that's right. That was their relationship.
Yeah.
Like he had a Jewish soul, he had a neshama, he had a deep down buried conscience, and he would go to her, and she would like erase the conscience and tell him, yeah, go for the evil, because that's who she was. So the relationship is interesting. You see, it plays out more.
Well, she's going to say, I'll show you what a king is like where I come from.
Yeah, right. That's what she's saying.
Whatever we like.
We do. We make ourselves strong. We don't cower before anybody. V'tichtov svarim b'shem Achav. So what did she do? She writes letters in the name of Achav. Taktom b'chotamo. She seals it with his seal. V'tishlach svarim el zikanim. It does sound like Purim a little bit, doesn't it? She says it, and she sends this for him to the Zikanim, to the elders, Velachorim, the judges, Asher Be'iro, which were in his city, Hayoshrim et Navot, in the city which was with Navot. Tiktov is for him lemor kiru tzom, Hoshivu et Navot b'rosh ha'am. They wrote this for him, announce a fast, and put Navot in the front of the hearing. Bring him in front of the people. Hoshivu Shnaim Anashim B'nei Belial. Get two lowly people, lowest of the lows. Negdo, set him up against him. V'yidu lemor beirachta Elokim v'melech. V'tziu v'sikluhu v'yamot. They should say that he cursed Hashem and he cursed the king, and they should give him skila. They should kill him, they execute him. In other words, they should set up a false accusation, false witnesses, false accusation. They cursed Hashem and he cursed the king, and they should give him skila. So she set up a system for killing off Navot and with a false accusation, an alilah.
It says Barachta Elohim.
Berach, that's the way of saying curse. Birchas Hashem means, it's turned around language. Birchas Hashem means cursing Hashem. Even though literally it means blessing Hashem, but we don't want to say cursing Hashem, so we say blessing Hashem, it means cursing Hashem. It's one of the 7 mitzvahs, it's called Birchas Hashem. Not cursing Hashem. Okay, going further. V'yasu anshe iro azkenim v'chorim. This kind of turnaround language is very common in the Torah. It's called lashon naki, or saginar. It's also called in the Gemara. It's called saginar. When you talk about a blind person, you call him saginar. A lot of light. You turn around the language. Okay. So that's what it means over here. V'yasu anshe iro azkenim v'chorim asher yoshvim be'iro kasher shalcha aleim izavel. So they did that. They set up the whole tribunal over here. Or the way that Izrael said to do it. They called a fast day, and they put Navot in the front. They made it like this is a terrible thing that happened. Somebody cursed Hashem and cursed the king. So we're going to have to judge him. Lemor beirach navot Elohim v'melech v'yotziuhu michutz ha'ir v'yiskuluhu pavanim v'yamot. So they did the whole kangaroo court over here, and they executed Navot. Pretty intense. Okay, now there's 2 opinions here. Like in the Radak and the Malbim discuss like what exactly happened over here. So the Radak learns it pretty straightforward. The Radak learns that these elders were basically corrupt also, and Izebel knew that who she was talking to, and she sent to them, and she kept it quiet from the people what was really going on. She said, we're going to bring false witnesses, and we're going to do all this, and we're going to get rid of this guy because we got to get rid of him. And the elders were corrupt, so they went along with her. And the people didn't know. People thought it was real, right? That's according to Radak. According to the Malbim, like, it would be hard to find elders like that are so corrupt. And they would have rebelled against the king. So he learns that she tricked them. And they thought it really was true. And he has a whole shmuz over here that Malbim how it was one of these tricks of Izebel that she fooled everyone. Okay, two pshat. They sent Izebel. We did it. Navot was killed. He's executed. Kishmo Izebel, Kisukol Navot, V'yamot v'tomer Izebel Elachav. Kum, Reish et Kerem Navot, HaYisraeli, Sher me'ein letet lecha, v'ketzav ki ein Navot chai ki made. So she said, you know, these things are going great over here. He was executed, and go and inherit his Kerem, which he wouldn't give you with money. Hikishmo, she's like evil, right? She's like quite a character here, this lady. Vahikishmo achav kimed navot v'akam achav l'redet el kerem navot ha'Yisraeli rishto. So Achav heard that Navot died. He went down to take over his vineyard. V'davar Hashem el Eliyahu atishbi lemor. So the word of Hashem came to Eliyahu. So what's happening here is the evil of Achav's kingdom keeps coming out in new ways, till it's come to the sof. So it comes the word to Eliyahu.
He's still in forever at this point. He's come back.
I don't know. We're moving really fast. Kum read Likrat Achav Melech Yisrael. So the word of Hashem comes to Eliyahu, and he says, "Get up and go down." Kum read Likrat Achav Melech Yisrael Asher b'Shomron Hinei b'Kerem Navot Shirad Sham L'Rishto. Go to the Kerem where Achav is. Dibarta Lav Lemor Ko Amar Hashem Haratzachta Kamirashta V'Dibarta Ilav Lemor. Ko Amar Hashem B'Mukom Asher L'Kuku HaKalavim Edam Navot Yaloku HaKalavim Edamcha Gamata. So you'll speak to him. This is what the Hashem tells the Navi. This is what Hashem says. You have killed and you have taken over.
We use this in modern Hebrew.
Oh, there it is. Okay, that comes from here. Dibarta lav lemor. He had no right to take it over either. He had no right to kill him or to take it over. It wasn't his. V'dibarta lav lemor. Ko amar Hashem b'mkom asher laku kalavim. In the place where the dogs will lick up the blood of Navot, they'll also lick up the blood of Achav. Yeah. The dogs represent brazenness. So the forces of brazenness will pay you back for your brazenness. Yomer Achav el Eliyahu. So this is what Eliyahu said to Achav. He went and said it to him. Bartlev Lemor, he said it to him. Yomer Achav el Eliyahu. Hamsatani oivi. Yomer matzati. Yan hismacharta lasod harabe nei Hashem. So Achav says to Eliyahu, he says, did you find me guilty? Did you find me doing something wrong? And what it means to say is, I didn't do it. Izebel did it. I didn't do anything. Like, what do you have against me? You don't have like a divine claim against me. It was her. And he says back, Metzati, I found it's you. Yan hitmakercha lasot, because you sold yourself. You sold your soul, in other words, to do bad. B'nei Hashem. Okay. So this is deep over here. So there's a sugya, we talk about it in Ivrit, it's called hitmakrut, right? Hitmakrut means addiction. It means you sell yourself on some level. It means you want something, and therefore you want something which is more like this worldly, or more some kind of a good feeling, or some kind of escape from what's troubling you. And because of that, you sell your deeper values and you submerge them, right? And so that's hitmakrut. The person becomes an addict. And it means deep down inside the person. So the person is having a spiritual struggle. There's the aspect of spirituality that wants to do the right thing, and there's the aspect of desire to escape from pain or to get pleasure, or to all that kind of thing, which will cover over the pain that he has. Right. So that's addiction. So he says, no, it wasn't Izevel that did this. It was your addiction. You're an addict. What is he addicted to? So the Rabbi says he's addicted to, like, he's selling himself to the Yetzer Hara. He's selling himself to his wife.
Power.
And he's like an unhappy person. He's a messed up person that sells himself over. He has this relationship with his wife, where she's this evil person, and he constantly allows her to manipulate him to do evil. He's addicted to doing evil, and he's addicted to following his wife's directions. So it's like a really lousy relationship. And he's an addict. He's such an addict. He's an addict to do what he feels like, to cover over his inner conscience. And how does he do that? By using Izevel to call the shots. It's like talking about bad friends, like bad wife, even worse. So that's the story here. Really interesting. I had a thought about this. I want to just tell you what I was thinking about this. So how does a person get it? Everybody has this deep down. We have deep beliefs, and we also have, we want to make things comfortable for ourselves, and we're divided inside. Everybody's like that. Do I do what I feel like doing? Do I do what is right? How do you find your deeper self? Because we have different sides. We're pulled in this way, pulled in that way. Everyone has. If we don't have addictions, we have what's the word for it? There's a lesser word for it.
Obsessions.
No, not obsessions. We have what?
Like vices, right?
Not even that. It's left in that. Addiction is like a vice. We have, or maybe you could say that, we have attachments. That's the word. We have attachments. We're attached to all kinds of things. Our attachments pull us away from what, if we would think deeper, we wouldn't do. We're attached to all kinds of things. And then if we really attach, that's called an addiction. And it really takes you over. So how does a person get out of that? Let's say out of addictions or out of attachments. How does a person find his inner voice? Which Achav didn't do. And Eliyahu Skim says it's your fault, because a person's obligated to find his inner voice. You can't say Izevel did it, because you're an addict. Okay, so I'll tell you my thought about this. I think one eitzah is tefillah, prayer. When we pray, we talk to Hashem, we say, Hashivenu Elecha v'nashuva, right? Help us to do tshuva. Bring us close to your Torah. Bring us close to your avodas Hashem, and help us to do tshuva. So we're asking Hashem, empower that side of spirituality, that it will win. Because we ourselves, we can't do it ourselves, We need you to help us, Hashem. And the tefillah is something that goes down in between those spaces. And the tefillah is where we talk to Hashem, who says, help us to be empowered and do what we want to do, and not what we're impelled to do. That's one way. Another way, I think, is Torah. Learn Torah. Torah is such wisdom. It goes down into your heart, starts to shift your attitude, start to feel stronger what you really want. You start to identify with your deeper Ratzon, with Hashem's Ratzon, and you move away from the things that seem important, which really aren't. The other way is Torah. I guess the third way is you do Gemilas Chasadim, you do Chesed. You're shifting your being in a different direction. You get up and you do stuff. So all those things, and it really makes sense that at this time you'd have a king like this. The king sold out himself and the whole kingdom to Avodah Zarah. They weren't doing mitzvot. They weren't davening. They weren't serving Hashem. They didn't have emunah. They covered over their emunah. So therefore, when you're in that situation where you're not serving Hashem, where you don't have a Torah, you don't have Avodas Hashem, so then everybody becomes addicted. Everybody becomes, start selling themselves out because they don't have the power to fight it. That's what the mitzvahs are for. That's what the tefillahs are for. It's very interesting. The tefillah, especially 3 times a day, we're talking to Hashem. Shema kolenu, Hashem Elokeinu, listen to our tefillah. And we need to say that, help the tefillah become strong, that it should become the thing you listen to, that bring out our ability to daven. Okay. So anyway, so it seems like, this is a very interesting discussion here. Achel comes and says, it's not my fault. Izebel did it. He says, no, you're an addict. You're addicted to her, and you're addicted to your Aharon and your vices. Behold, I'm going to bring you evil. Bring evil upon you. Eliyahu says in the name of Hashem. I will destroy you. I will destroy to Achav Mashtin Bakir. That's all the men. They urinate against the wall, like that's a man. That describes a man. Vatsur means in all your money, the things you save. Vazuv, and all the things you left in the field, all your animals. Everything that belongs to Achav will be wiped out off the face of the earth. Natati et Beitcha Kebeit Yeravam ben Navat Ukebeit Basha ben Achia Elakas Asher Kasta Fatachti Es Yisrael. Okay, so then he says, I will give your house like the house of Yeravam. I will give over your household, your inheritance, like that of Yeravam, and like the house of Basha. They were also wiped out off the face of the earth, all these families. Elakas. It says to the kas. Asher Kasta Fatachti Es Yisrael. So that's very interesting. Also, that phrase there. It should have said alakas, and that's what the Methuselah said. It means alakas, because of the anger, which you were angry and you brought out anger and you caused Israel to sin. You were angry, you brought out anger, you brought out Hashem's anger, you caused Israel to sin. Okay, alakas. So just first on the surface, I want to try to explain this. That what's the sin over here? Why am I wiping out your whole future? Because of your anger. Because of the anger over here. Whose anger?
Hashem's anger.
Hashem's anger. Okay. Okay. It doesn't mean Achav's anger? Mm-hmm. I think it means Achav's anger as well. I think it means both. You're an angry person. And I just want to say that I'm not sure, I didn't see this in the portion, but that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like people that are evil because they're angry, because they don't have emunah. They're angry that Hashem is not, life is not fair, and they don't see themselves succeeding in life in the way they want to, or something's angry deep down inside them. They're angry against Hashem.
And they let their anger grow and take control of them. They
have no emunah, and their anger dominates their decisions, and all of the desires and all the running after things and wealth and power, all that is a source of anger and all that. Because if you're not angry, if you believe that Hashem runs the world and things are ultimately good and they'll be good, so then you don't need to do all that kind of stuff. You're not as unhappy inside. You don't have to cover over your happiness. The anger eats you up. That's what I wanted to say. He says, Elakas.
One question about the Dak.
Yeah.
When did he live?
The Dak was, I believe, a Rishon, one of the later Rishonim. So that's like 1300s or something.
Yosef Karo?
Yosef Karo was after that. I believe. I'm pretty sure. The Dak was a Rishon, right? Yeah. He was amazing, the Dak. Very, very interesting. He had such a deep, broad knowledge. He doesn't always say his sources, but he always has them. And is amazing parish.
Is he from Spain?
Huh?
From Spain?
The Dak was from Spain? I think so. I believe so. Okay, let's go further. Gam li zevel diber Hashem lemor haklavim yochlu et izevel v'chel Yisrael. So Izevel even gets the worst punishment. In other words, the dogs eat the blood of Achav, and they eat Izevel herself. So and the dogs represent brazenness. So she's the ultimate brazenness. Hamet l'Achav ba'ir yochlu aklavim, hamet b'sadeh yochlu ofishmaim. The one who dies to Achav will be eaten by the dogs in the city, the descendants, and the one that dies in the field will be eaten by the vultures, by the birds. This is the curse that comes on all these guys. Rak lo ya kechav asher hitmacher lasod hara b'nei Hashem. Asher hesata oto izevel ishto. There was no one as evil as Achav in this way, that he gave himself over to his evil avodah zarah wife. This was outstanding. There were other evil kings before, but he went further by giving over to this avodah zarah wife. V'yatev ma'od l'lechet acharei haglulim. Furthermore, Achav, he made himself abominable by going after the avodah zarah, idol worship. As the Amori had done, the Amori nation, which Hashem cleared them out from Bnei Israel because they did that, and then Achav brought back the evil idolatry. Now, very interesting part here is an amazing thing happens after this. Achav does tshuva. Okay, now we're going to see a machloket here also of, again, the Malbim and the Ramad Vali about what kind of tshuva this is. So let's listen to this. Vikishmo Achav at the Dvar Me'ela v'yikra b'gadav v'yasem sak al basaro v'yatzom v'yishkav v'sak v'yahalech at. Okay, and it was when Achav heard these matters that Eliyahu told him how Hashem looks at him and what's going to happen to him. V'yikra b'gadav, he ripped his beged, ripped his clothing. He put on sackcloth, al basaro. V'yatzom v'yishkav, and he fasted and he laid down basak. He laid down in the sackcloth. Also, v'yalech at. He went around softly, like someone who's in chains, like he can hardly walk, and he's trying to figure out what to do. V'yidvar Hashem. I want to get back to this pasuk in a second. V'yidvar Hashem el Eliyahu v'tishbi lemor. So the word of Hashem came to Eliyahu the Tishbi saying, Hara'ita ki nechna Achav. It sounds like even Hashem was amazed. This deepest sinner you ever met seems to be doing tshuva. What's going on here? Hara'ita ki nechna Achav milfanai. Do you see that Achav was subdued before me? Hashem says to Eliyahu. Yan ki nechna mipanai, because he was subdued before me. Lo avi hara b'yamav. I will not bring the evil in his days. All the predictions I said before are not going to happen now. I'm not going to kill him and replace him right away because of this tshuva. Bimei beno avi hara al beitov. In the days of his son, I will bring all this evil onto his household. But for him, I'm giving him a reprieve. I'm giving him a waiting period because of the tshuva that he's doing. Okay.
It doesn't really say like what the extent of his tshuva was.
It doesn't say. Okay, now, right. So what do you think?
No, it was sincere, obviously.
If Hashem responded to it.
Right.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so now that's where the Malbim and the Ramad Vali disagree. Very interesting discussion. So the Malbim says what happened here was, first it says Sarita ki nechna Achav. You see that milfanai. You see that Hashem says to Eliyahu. You see that Achav was subdued before me. Now when it says milfanai, the Malbim says that means in a deep way, from before me in the deep sense. You need to say this is sincere tshuva. You see that he did sincere. What appears to you, this is sincere tshuva. Because Hashem says to Eliyahu, he seems to be deeply repentant before me. You need to say he now has. You're at the Romamut. He has this honor for Hashem. Something happened. It turned over his whole life. It's amazing. But he says no. That's not what it is. Yan ki nichna mipanai. And that's not what it is. That's the Malbim puts all these words. There's a little bit, and it's interesting, the Malbim shot. He says, Yan ki nichna, but because he was nichna mipanai. Now it doesn't say milfanai. It says mipanai. So that's more external. And so Hashem is teaching him that's not what's happening. It's not a deep tshuva, it's an external tshuva. It's a tshuva based on fear of punishment. And therefore, all I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a reprieve of 3 years, and I'm going to bring down all the punishments on him. If it had been a sincere tshuva, I would have taken off everything. That's what Hashem tells Eliyahu. That's Malbim's job. So what happens is there's 3 ways of delay. There's delay, and then everything comes down on the sons. Now, but the Ramad Vali has a different shot, which is very compelling, very interesting shot. He says it was a sincere tshuva. It actually was a sincere tshuva. And what's the proof? The pasuk before, because it says in pasuk of Zion, it says when Achav heard that, he tore his clothing. That's taking down his exterior honor, right? V'yasem sak, and he put on sackcloth. al basaro, on his flesh. Again, no more show of being king and great and powerful. He took it all off. And then in private, v'yitzom, he fasted privately. That shows that it was internal. And he lied down in his bedroom with the sackcloth on. So that shows it was sincere. That's the indication that it was a deeper tshuva. So therefore, the Ramah learns that actually, and this is an amazing story, like talking about tshuva, we had before David Melch's tshuva. This is almost more amazing. Achav's tshuva. The problem with it didn't stay. That's why he doesn't get the honorable mention that David Melch does. But according to the Ramah Vali, so it was a deep, sincere tshuva, and if he had stayed with it, all the decrees would have gone off. So that's why Hashem gave him 3 years to see if he would stay with it. And if he had stayed with it, all the decrees would have gone. He would have been okay. That's according to Rabbi Vali. Two pshatim. Amazing inspiration for tshuva. A person can do tshuva even in 1 minute. When his whole world collapses, he sees he was wrong, and he's going to get punished, and Hashem runs the world, which he was not seeing, and all of a sudden he gets clear about that. So then that's the highest tshuva. Everything can turn around. The Rosh Hashanah could become clean. Okay, amazing.
Menashe, from the king of Beit Yisrael, he also was a big Rashi and did tshuva.
What happened to me yet? He became tshuva yet?
Al tshuva, I think.
Okay, we'll see. Okay, I don't remember. We'll get there. Okay, interesting. V'yeshu shlosh shanim ein milchama. They dwelt for 3 years without any war. Bein Aram u'bein Yisrael. V'b'shana shlishit. Even though it's predicted Yoram is going to take over, so it's pushed off. V'b'shana shlishit v'yered Yehoshaphat Melech Yehuda el Melech Yisrael. In the 3rd year, Yehoshaphat, the king of Yehuda, righteous king of Yehuda, comes down to be with the Melech of Yisrael. V'yomer Melech Yisrael el avadav. So something happens. There's a sort of coming together here of sorts. V'yomer.
It's just interesting now that it's calling him Melech Yisrael and not Chacham.
Yeah, Melech Yisrael. Yeah. V'yomer Melech Yisrael. They stopped calling him Chav. He doesn't have a name anymore. Or is that good or bad? Maybe it's good.
Like good thing.
Oh, I see. Right, that's good word. Yeah, that fits the Ramad Vali. He got back his malchus because of his tshuva. Very good. Yes. V'yomer Melech Yisrael el avadav. And the king of Israel said to the servants, Haydatem kilanu ramot gilad, v'nachnu machshim nikachet ota miad melech ram. He says to his servants, so Melech Yisrael Chav says to them, you see, we should be taking Ramat Gilad, and we're being silent from taking it from the kingdom of Aram. It's appropriate for us to take it. V'yomer el Yehoshaphat, hatelech eti lemilchama Ramot Gilad, v'Yehoshaphat el Melech Yisrael kamoni kamocha ka'ami ka'amecha kasusi kasusecha. So this Melech Yisrael is very tamim, and he says, "Yeah, let's go together, and we'll support each other."
It's reconquering the land. I mean, it's,
Yeah. So we'll go and do this. Yomi Shvat el Melech Yisrael. Tarashnach Yom et Dvar Hashem. So Shvat, the Melech Yehuda says to Achav, he says, "Let's now seek out the word of Hashem, prophecy, before we go to war, because that's what you're supposed to do. The king for his war has to seek out the agreement of the prophet and the guidance." Vikbots Melech Yisrael and the Nevi'im Karba Me'ot Ish. So what happens? The Melech Yisrael, Achav, gathers over all the Nevi'im, the 400 Ish. Who are the 400 Ish? You remember what the 400 is?
It sounds like the prophets of
It's not. No, they were 450,
450.
and they were killed.
Okay.
So it's the other ones. It's the prophets of the Shera. The other 400, they're the prophets of the Shera. So they didn't arrive at that event over there. So they're still alive.
Right, yeah.
it was 100 in the cave, 2 caves.
That was Nevi'im. That was Nevi'im Emes. These are Nevi'im Sheker. These Nevi'im Sheker of Achav. So they showed up again. So here Achav pulls out his Nevi'im Sheker, and they're supposed to go to war now, and they have to ask the Navi first. So the king of Yehuda doesn't know what's going on. He thinks it's real Nevi'im maybe. He brings out the Nevi'im Sheker. That's to Achav that is Nevi'im. He doesn't know the difference. It sounds like. So he brings out the Nevi'im Sheker, or he's going back and he's already falling down again, right? Brings out the Nevi'im Sheker. V'yomer lehem heilech al Ramot Gilad l'milchama imechtal. V'yomer alei v'yiten Hashem biyad hamelech. So they gather these 400 Nevi'im, and he asks them, should I go to fight Ramat Gilad or not? And they say, go. And Hashem will give it into your hands. That's what all the Nevi'im say. So yeah, go. Because why do they say that? Because the Nevi is sheker, and they wanted to say what the king wants them to say, basically.
Yes, man.
Yeah, yes, man. Yom Shafat. Ha'ein po Navi Hashem od v'nidrusha miyato. So Yehoshaphat says there's no more, these are not Nevi Hashem, these are Nevi Abal. These are Nevi Asherah. And the sages say, how did he know that that something was messed up here? Because they all said the same thing. And Nevi'im never say the same thing. Each Navi prophecies in terms of his own personality. It comes through his own imagination. So no Navi will use the same language as the other Navi. So these were false Nevi'im, so they all said the same language. So therefore Yehoshaphat, who was a Chacham, he saw that these are Nevi Sheker. So he says, isn't there any Nevi Hashem left? Let's bring in someone else. I don't trust this. I'm getting a funny feeling over here. Something's going wrong. Yomi Melech Yisrael, Yehoshaphat. Od Ishachad the Drosh et Hashem Meoto. V'ni Sadnei Tiv Ki Lo Yitnavei Alai Tov. Ki Imra. Michiao ben Yimla v'Yomer. Yehoshaphat Hayomar HaMelachim. So it says like this. So Achav says back. He says, there's one more guy, there's one more Navi, who is a Navi of Hashem. But I hate him. Because he never says anything good about me. He never says any good prophecies about me. Only bad things. And his name is Michiao ben Yimla. And Yehoshaphat says, Yehoshaphat doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't really know who Achav is. And he says, don't talk that way about a Navi. It's not inappropriate to speak that way about a Navi. A Navi never says anything except because Hashem tells him. He doesn't have any malice. What you didn't realize is the reason why Michiao always prophesies bad for Achav is because Achav is always bad. so Achav says he's always against me. And Achav knows deep down why. So he says, I don't want to bring him. He never is with me. And deep down, he's like hiding from himself again. He's like, let's go with these guys. Mine to be my better. Let's go with them, you know? It's called self-deception. He's an addict. Yes. Yukra Melech Yisrael El Saris Echad. So the king of Israel calls to one unit. Yomer Mahara Michayao ben Yimla. He says, bring quickly Yimla Michayao ben Yimla. Bring him quickly.
What does this deal with the eunuchs?
There were people that were eunuchs. They were castrated, I guess, or something like that, and so they would give them to watch the women so there was such a thing. Okay, so going further.
That's like really common in Asia and
No, but
Arab countries.
where is it here?
The eunuch, it just popped up here.
The Saris is eunuch.
Oh.
So they were over there. Achav was an Avodah Zarah king. They had all kinds of weird things. You know, he was weird.
It's a big thing in China.
Okay.
Very, very common in China.
Wow.
They had to make a law prohibiting castration.
Yeah.
Because it was so popular.
Right.
Men wanted to get a job in the palace.
Wow. I see. Interesting. It's us according to the Torah. You know that. Even for animals. Okay, let's go further. So he says the Ramad Vali says the reason why I think it's him. Ramad Vali says the reason why Brunner brought him so fast, he wanted to get mixed up. He didn't want him to say the wrong prophecies. He wanted him to agree with all the false prophets. So he brought him real quickly. Melech Yisrael, he brought him off guard before he could prepare his prophecy. Melech Yisrael v'Shafat, Melech Yudah Yoshvim Ish Al Kiso, Lubashim Begadim, Begoran Petach Shar Shamron, Kol Navim Mitnavim Lifneim. So the two kings were sitting there on their thrones with their big day Malchut, and the Navim are prophesying before them. V'yaso Tzidkiya ben Kenana, Karne Barzel, v'Mekoa Amar Hashem, ve'ele tenagach et Aram ad kolotam. So then this one false Navi, he gets these horns of iron, puts them on his head. That's in the Navim. They make sort of acts to act out what's going to happen with the prophecy. That makes it a stronger prophecy. And he said, this is what Hashem says. With these horns, he will gore Aram until he destroys him. So the king of Israel will gore Aram, will strike him down. So he says, you're going to win the war. Kol Nevi'im Nibim Kain Lemor Alei Ramot Gilad Fatzlach V'nat Hashem B'yad HaMelech. So they all agree and they say, yes, you should go up to Ramat Gilad and you'll win. And Hashem will give it into the hands of the king Achav. V'malach asher halach l'kro Michayahu diber lav lemor hinei na divrei hanavim pe'achad tov el melech hina devarcha kidvar echad mehem dibarta tov. So he sends a messenger to bring Michayahu, and the messenger has an opinion because everybody thinks everything is a game. That's what it sounds like to me. And that's what happens in the court of Achav. People around them, they see all the fake haraya, all the sheker, all the manipulation, and they think that everything is about, including prophecy. So he tells them, and prophecy like the other ones, do me a favor, say what you're supposed to say. That's what the messenger says to Michayahu. Yom Michayahu, Chai Hashem ki etasher yomar Hashem elai oto deber. He says, whatever Hashem says, that's what I'm going to say. V'yavo HaMelech, v'yomer HaMelech elav, Michayahu, hanelech, harom gilad, v'melchama im nechtal. He says, shall we go to fight this war or not? V'yomer elav, alei v'hatzlach v'natan Hashem b'yad HaMelech. So he said, go up and succeed, and Hashem will put it into your hands. So the way that the Ramaval explains it is, this wasn't a prophecy, this was a bracha. He didn't want a prophecy for him. He saw that it was all messed up over here. And he didn't want to get killed also. He said, okay, I'll give you a bracha, you should succeed. Ad kama pamim ani mashpiecha. I'm gonna bring you to an oath many times. Asher lo tdaber elai rak emet b'shem Hashem. Just tell me the truth in the name of Hashem. So here, Achav says, I want the truth. I see you're just playing along. You're not giving me a prophecy. You're just saying, yeah, go succeed. I want to hear what the prophecy is. And I'm going to make you say the truth. Why did Achav do that? He wanted to hear.
Deep down,
he has a neshama. Yeah, he wants to know the truth also. He's scared.
If he's a true prophet, why did he not say what's actually going to happen first? Was he scared about that?
I don't know. He didn't want to say the prophecy right away. Or it didn't come to him right away. He just said a bracha. Not sure.
Maybe he wanted, by him doing this, we get to see that Achav wants to hear the truth.
Yeah, that's
he
true.
brings out this quality of Achav.
Also, what does he care if Achav goes and gets himself killed? Like, okay, go. Hashem should help you, I'm not sure.
He just said in the pasuk earlier that whatever Hashem tells him, he's going to...
Right, so this wasn't the prophecy. He didn't start prophecy.
Hashem wants him to say.
No, this is not the prophecy.
Fill the prophecy with the dogs and the...
Yeah, but no, that's not... The pshat is like the Rothman is saying. He didn't start prophesying it. So why did he just give him a bracha which was not the bottom line? I don't know. It's one of the pshatim we're saying. Okay, let's go further. Yomariti et kol Yisrael nefotzim. So he made him take the prophecy. So he starts to prophesy. Comes down the prophecy. He says, Riti et kol Yisrael nefotzim el harim. Katzon asher ein lehem roeh. I see all of Yisrael spread out over the mountains like sheep without a shepherd. V'yomer Hashem lo adonim la'ila. They don't have a master. Yeshuvu ish lebeito b'shalom. And everyone will go back to their house b'shalom. What does the prophecy mean? It means they're going to go out to war. Achav is going to get killed. And all the people will go back and run back to their homes. So that's because we have no master because Achav's dead. V'yomer Melech Yisrael el Shofat halo amarti elecha lo yitnabei alai tov. Did I tell you can only say bad about me? I knew you were going to say bad. You did. Oh, so he speaks more. He goes further. Now he's like, he's going to tell him, he's going to let him have it. So if so, you don't want to say bad, I'm going to tell you bad. Here's what Hashem says. I saw Hashem sitting on his throne. All the heavenly hosts, are to his left and to his right. The angels, whatever they are. The based in Shamala. Vayomer Hashem mi yafateh et Achav. No, let's call them angels. Vayomer Hashem mi yafateh et Achav v'yal v'yapol v'ramat Gilad. Vayomer zeh b'kol v'yazeh omer b'kol. So Hashem says to the people, to all these angels, to his left and right, who's going to go and seduce Achav to get killed in battle against Ramot Gilad? So some of them said like this, some of them said like that. And then a spirit came out. V'yomod lifnei Hashem. V'yomer ani yafatenu And he said, I'll do it. I'll seduce him. I know how to do it. Vayomer Shem elav b'ma. How are you going to do it? Vayomer etzei vayiti ruach sheker b'fi kol neviyav. Vayomer tifateh. V'gam tuchal. Save us again. So he said, I'll be a spirit of falsehood in the mouths of all the prophecies, all the prophets. And that's how I'm going to seduce Achav. So Hashem says, okay, good plan, go for it. So he tells him so basically, so the prophet is telling Achav what's going on from prophecy itself. This is a bad spirit that's set up to bring you down. Behold, Hashem gave a false spirit in the mouth of all of your prophets. Hashem is predicting for you bad. So then this head of the false prophets goes and he strikes the prophet Michal on the cheek. And he says, basically he says, what's this chutzpah, the way you're speaking? And the ruach, and I'm going to tell you what Hashem really has to say. He gives him a strike, something like that. So, okay. So he says, you're going to see. That's what's going to happen is the people are going to be hiding one room inside another, and when they went away from Ramat Gilad. And I told you the truth, and you don't want to hear it. Okay, so he says the Ramat Vali says what's going on in this exchange. He says that that the job, that's it, and not to get tangled up with people. He has to be on the higher plane. He gives the nevuah. So what he should have done, he should have given the nevuah and left. Instead, he stayed around, and he gave a whole lecture. And for the guy, he got punished. He got a smack on the face from that Russia. That's the way the Rabbi explains this exchange here. So that's interesting. Okay. Remember Chazral, Kach ed Mechiyahu v'ashiveu el Amon Sarair ve'el Yoesh Oyesh ben Melach. I'm going to finish up real fast here. So he says, okay, so in other words, it seems like also he says through to Achav. And because of this brazenness, he goes and smacks him in the face and says, you're a liar. So then Achav went with the false prophets. And if the Navi had just gone and said his piece and left, then it could have been sunk into Achav and it would have been successful. That was his mistake. That's why he deserved a punishment. So he says, put the Navi in the jail till we get back. When we come back in B'Shalom, we'll execute him because he's a false prophet. Right? He said, if you come back B'Shalom, then Hashem didn't speak through me. That's what Michal said back. So I'll just tell you what happens at the end. We have to stop here. What happens is, it's very interesting, the next part. So Achav is going with the false prophets, but he's worried about what the true prophet said also. So he says, I'm gonna get myself in disguise because I don't want them to know that I'm the king of Israel. And he says, you Shaphat, you don't have to disguise. We'll go together. You're the king of Judah. You don't have to disguise. But I'm going to go into disguise. Because he discussed maybe there was a spy. And they knew that that there was a prophecy that the king was supposed to be killed by them. So they said, all we have to do is kill the king and we win. So what happens is they go and first they see a king and they start going for him. It turns out to be the king of Yehuda, and they realize that it's not Achav, so they leave him. And then one archer is shooting and he shoots randomly and it goes and kills Achav. It goes between the armor miraculously and kills Achav. So it's Min Shamayim, the punishment comes down, and he's standing, he said, bring me back. And he's standing in the chariot and he says, they shouldn't see I'm dead. and the blood starts flowing over the chariot, and they bring the chariot back, and the dogs lick the blood just like in the prophecy, and that's the end of Achav. Okay.
How do you say about that?
Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek.